about running backs.
Correct.
We're going to speed this up. Y'all know I play everything on chipmunk mode. We're not going to let it play slow. We're going to go 1.25 to start. I believe this is the right spot. Just remember your homework. I won't steer you wrong. I gave you the answers to the test. Let's get it.
You know, and that's what Ryan's saying. It's like, you're a very good cornerback. Why would you argue with Deion? Why would I argue with Ray Lewis? Why would you argue with Troy? Like, let's just take it easy and let's stay in our lane. That's our lane we need to stay in.
Are you going to stay in your lane now with Bronny, though?
You see, I wore my Lakers hat because I knew y'all was about to ask.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to stay in my lane because they were losing by 30. He got in the game. He made 17 points.
So y'all remember when I told you I gave the answers to the test? We know the score was 12-10. It was 5 minutes and 28 seconds left when he got into the game. Lakers had a bunch of starters who were out. It was on the second night of a back-to-back. They were in a stretch where they had 6 games in 8 nights. So that's one incorrect statement.
He just shot some threes and he gets cooked defensively. I wore my hat.
We're going to pause it again. So he said, oh, he just shot some threes and he gets cooked defensively. That's not true. I should have showed y'all the highlights. So basically, the way they used to defend Bronny was they would just always go under on the screen because he's more athletic and they're daring him to shoot. What he did in that game was he did hit a couple of threes. I think he hit 2 threes, but he was also driving to the hoop. So I don't even think Channing actually watched the game or the highlights from the game that they showed of Bronny of what he actually did to score.
To reinforce my opinion, Bronny should not be.
He had 39 in the G League the same way.
He just said it again. Bronny should not be in the NBA. And then you're going to hear Ryan Clark saying, hey, he just had 39 in the G League. Let's see what he says about that.
Wait, Chan.
You know what? Little Chan could get 31 in the G League.
That's.
He's saying his 13, I believe his son is 13. His 13-year-old son can score 31 in the G League. That's just not the case. So that was the reason why I showed y'all, how things are going in the G League, how they're actual NBA players, how many players are getting called up to the NBA from the G League, to show you that he's basically doubling down on things that just are bad takes because he's a show me person. He's not a visionary. He can't see it. Every person who watched Bronny in his first game saw somebody who was timid, saw somebody who was overthinking the game. Every person that watched him in the last game where he got the actual 30 minutes, he got playing time, he can, ease himself into the game. He was not timid. He was decisive. He was taking what the defense was giving him. He also showed his athleticism on a couple of different drives to the basket. So this is where he's just doubling down. And if you think about it, that's why I've been playing Kenny Rogers the Gambler all night. What's the chorus? You got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him. You got to know when to fold on your message. To use their term, you got to know when to pivot when what you're saying is now not factually correct. And he's not taking this opportunity.
That's not true, because if
the G League, who's the best player in the G League right now?
Matt McClung, probably.
Mm-hmm. The guy that can't make.
So you see, he doesn't know about the G League. So this is where I say, like, when it comes to just these debates and how people view these things, they're so dismissive. They're so dismissive. And they don't even understand how the G League works. They don't understand how the two-way contracts works. They just dismiss it. Oh, who's the best? They only know McClung because he's been in the dunk contest. He's not the person. He's not the leading scorer in the G League. This is why you just got to do a little bit of research. So it's going to look like that for a second. Give me a second, y'all. Let me pull up. The leading scorer in the G League is Elijah Harkis. He's played 19 games, 31 minutes. He's averaging 26 points. Matt McClung is the third leading scorer in the G League, and he's averaging 25. Bronny played in 11 G League games where he's averaging 21. So this is the reason why I gave you all the answers to the test. So now when you hear this analysis, you say, okay, this is not analysis. This is entertainment, because the things that you're saying are not factually correct. Let's go.
Take it to the league. Yes. So Bronny's getting 39 on people that can't play in the NBA?
It's never good.
See how dismissive he is of the actual G League? And the reason why he's being dismissive is because he's doubling down on his point. He's doubling down that it doesn't matter what Bronny does, he should not be in the NBA, which everybody can see that that's incorrect. But he's holding on to a square.
Good enough for you.
Listen, I
No.
love LeBron. I do not hate on the James family. I'm telling you facts. Bronny James.
So this is this is why I gave you the answers to the test. I gave you the answers to the test. So I kind of hinted at it. And I said, oh, in the fourth quarter, we're going to hear chanting and we're going to see his breakdown. And now we actually hear him when we see his breakdown. He's saying, I'm giving y'all facts. So let's go back. His first, what he thought was a fact, was Bronny got in, they were down 30. That was not a fact. The lie detector test determined that was a lie. His second fact, guys in the G League, or his son, who's, I believe is a teenager, could score 31 in the G League. That was not a fact. The lie detector test determined that was a lie. His next fact is he mentioned that Bronny was getting blown by, and the game that he's speaking of is when he was guarding Tyrese Maxey. This is one thing I forgot to do. Let's do it. Let's do it live. So we're going to jump here. Give me just a second, y'all. I'm going to find Tyrese Maxey's stats, and y'all are going to know why in a second. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm telling you on Tyrese Maxey's stats. He's going to say, oh man, Bronny, he couldn't guard Tyrese Maxey. He was going to cook. Tyrese Maxey is averaging 26.3 points in the NBA. He has been in the league for, this is going on his 5th season. He's 8th in scoring. So that means he's not just scoring those points on Bronny, he's scoring those points on anybody who guards him. Remember, I'm giving you the answers to the test. So when we go back and we hear the rest of what Chaney's going to say, you're going to hear how it makes no sense. Let's get back to it.
James should not be in the NBA. I watched
He said it again. He should not be in the NBA.
him go out there and get cooked the other night. Walked in there.
So he's talking about when he was being guarded by Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey, he's cooking everybody. So let's see his next point.
Game, binked his ass, went up for a layup, went down, he missed the shot, they came back and binked his ass.
So no person, according to Channing, who gets scored on should be in the NBA. That's another one. When you just keep doubling, tripling down on something that just doesn't make sense. The point of the game of playing in the NBA is to score points. Both teams score points. So if you're a defender, so just think about this. We got an NBA game. We got our 15 guys. We got 12 guys who actually can go into the game. First person gets scored on, you got to take him out the game. He can't play anymore. Second person gets scored on, take him out the game. How long before every person in the game gets scored on and you won't be able to finish the game? So this is why you got to look at what people are actually saying and just listen to it. It makes 0 sense. 0 sense.
His ass up. I watched, bro. I watched back. Since Luka got there, I really watched the Lakers a lot now. And he gets binked up defensively. I don't know why this is such a thing that people are like, I'm just being honest.
So based on what he just said, he said Bronny doesn't belong in the NBA because guys are scoring on him. He also just said he's been watching the Lakers since Luka got there, and Luka gets binked up in the NBA. So if Bronny getting scored on is the reason why he shouldn't be in the NBA, and also you said he missed a shot, he's not shooting 100% from the field since he's been on the Lakers, and he also gets scored on. So using your logic for you to be able to prove why Bronny shouldn't be in the NBA, should Luka be also out of the NBA? You see how like when you just keep doubling down and you're saying more and more things and you're getting further and further away from the truth, further and further away from reality? So we can go to football. Based on his logic, if a cornerback gives up a touchdown, then they don't belong in the NFL. So then you should take them out the game and just go to the next cornerback. So only cornerbacks should be allowed to be in the NFL is cornerbacks who never get a touchdown pass caught on them. What we doing, man?
It's about basketball. You want me to bring up other people that can't play? I can make a list of people that can't play. Bronny's on the bottom. I'm sorry, James family. I love LeBron. I love his philanthropy. I swear, I got to say this. He's a great father, a great husband. Everything he's doing is amazing. LeBron James is a Hall of Fame human and the second.
So remember, hold on, let me.
Basketball player in the history of time in my mind.
Second greatest basketball player. So you heard those things that he said. So you see on the middle of the screen, you see I got the Spider-Man meme. You know, without Spider-Man's glasses on, you got Channing. And then if you look, when he puts his glasses on, you got Stephen A. So you're probably thinking, how does this even align? How is this even tied together? Remember earlier I hinted that they sound the same?
Which leads obviously to you. And
so this is another clip. We're going to break down how Stephen A talks when he's speaking about LeBron and he says anything. And this is after the dust up that they had. All right, let's get to it. Let me skip forward.
First of all, anybody would have gotten that interview. I take no issue with the job that Pat McAfee did, having LeBron James on his show. Anybody would have done that. The questions that he asked was more than appropriate. Outstanding job by him and his team, no doubt about that. Let's get to LeBron James. So LeBron James decides who really, outside of his crew, doesn't really have any friends in the media. Suddenly, he's going to be in Indianapolis, driving into the country. And
let's try to get to it. Let me find it.
Draft my son because you wanted to play with your son for 1 year. Wasn't it you who literally circumvented meritocracy within the National League? That was it. I said nothing else. So if that's the issue, and I pointed to LeBron James and the fact that you've circumvented a meritocracy just to get your wish at the expense of the credibility of the league in a lot of people's eyes, that's talking about you. That's not talking about your son. Control. He's been about making sure that things are his way. Us, as the media members, know it because of how his behavior has changed since he's had his own media outlet in terms of how he treats the media. But we won't focus on the man that I was a decade ago, physically or beyond. I can tell you that. So we get that out the way. Why do I bring that up? Because that's how petty you've become. You're LeBron James. You that butthurt over the things that I'm saying, that you would post that video. When has LeBron James ever done something like that? But suddenly you're doing that as it pertains to me. This man is in his feelings. I wonder why. Could it be because I don't believe you're the GOAT? Because I'll never believe you're the GOAT? Because I have you number 2 at all times? Do I have to have ESPN and First Take put up the ticker tape right now and say, yo, could you put that up there, please? Great father, great husband, great philanthropist, great businessman, great director, great producer, great host, great basketball player, great leader. I mean, my God, I have done everything but put diapers and a bib on this brother.
Now do y'all see?
Now we have a beautiful picture for the...
Just trust me when I say I'm giving you the answers to the test. Now let's go back to Channing. That's actually the wrong one. Let's see. This one. No, I got it.
Oh, you gonna stay in your lane now with Bronny though?
Hold on.
He said I wore my Lakers hat because I knew.
We don't need that clip anymore. We don't need that clip anymore. We don't need this. Now let's go back. All right, so we're at 48. Let's go back 30 seconds. And now you're going to see why that's the thumbnail.
Watch, bro. I watch back. Since Luka got there, I really watch the Lakers a lot now. And he gets beat up defensively. I don't know why this is such a thing that people are like, I'm just being honest about basketball. You want me to bring up other people that can't play? I can make a list of people that can't play. Bronny's on the bottom. I'm sorry, James family. I love LeBron. I love his philanthropy. I swear, I got to say this. He's a great father, a great husband. Everything he's doing is amazing. LeBron James is a Hall of Fame human and the second basketball player in the history of time in my mind. His son should not be on the sideline with Luka.
That's the other point we're going to get to. Channing. So do y'all hear how they go through the same list almost at the same cadence of when they are saying anything? Why would you need to do that if you were just speaking about Bronny as a basketball player? The reason you need to do that is because you even recognize how weak your argument is. That's why you won't even stick to your argument. You're jumping all over the place, just to make a point. They sound very similar. Now that you heard Stephen A. go through it, now that you heard Channing go through it, remember earlier I told y'all that I have to limit how many sports take I watch, how much different information I take in based on the subject that I'm going over, because you eventually get lost in what you're actually seeing and you won't even know if you believe it or if you don't believe it. You won't even know if you came up with this or if this is something you heard so many times that now you just have adapted it like it's your own and it's not your original thought. To me, I find it very strange that anytime Channing speaks on LeBron or Bronny, he is going to the same list of accolades that Stephen A. Smith goes to. That just makes me question, okay, One of y'all wrote the script, and maybe both of y'all are reading from it, but y'all are saying the exact same thing. Let's get to it. He's gonna make another kind of bad analogy here that we're gonna break down.
And him and SGA and Jovic and these boys. Look, Bronny should not be sitting over there with those type of players. I'm sorry. Y'all ain't gonna run me off this. Y'all can say whatever the hell y'all want. Y'all go, because I ain't gonna run me off this.
Yeah, no, I'll be quick.
So this is the face of a person who we already kind of showed that he's not giving you facts. He's not telling you things that are factually accurate. And he's digging in. And this is one of the big mistakes. This is the biggest mistake that Stephen A. Smith made in his whole back and forth for LeBron. He just dug in and he couldn't take the L. So if you've been watching me, if you've been watching my episodes, you know I like to tell you things that my father taught me. One of the things that my dad taught me was, if you don't learn your lesson on the first time, the second time is going to be harder. The third time is going to be worse. What does that mean to this situation? Let's look at Stephen A. Smith. The first time he mocked LeBron's people for reaching out to him when they said LeBron felt slighted. The second time, when LeBron checked him face to face, he still didn't back down and he made it a lot worse. Stephen A. Smith, it got so bad for him, he was grasping for straws and trying to go back like he thought he could at LeBron, that he ended up bringing Kobe Bryant into it, which was a lie. He ended up bringing Dwayne Wade into it, which when he was going on his rant, he actually answered the question of why LeBron wasn't there at Dwayne Wade's ceremony. So this is what happens when you got the freedom to change your mind. When you just lock in on things like this is when logic is gone. This is when facts are gone. This is when emotions have taken over, and everything they say from there, they're just not going to be wrong, even though everything around them says they're wrong. Everything around them says they're wrong. So in the first Pivot podcast we saw 4 months ago, he needs to go to the G League. He needs to do like everybody else is doing. So he does that. He excels. Then after he excels, and towards the end of the year, which if you cover basketball, you know, a lot of games, short time, basically teams are jockeying for a playoff position and where they're going to end up at. So you know this is the normal cadence of how the NBA works. But somebody who, he admitted he started paying attention to the Lakers more since they got Luka, you watching the second half of the season, which is played totally different than the first half of the season. So it's just, you got to put more work in. You got to do some more research. You got to look into things more. He basically knocked the G League, said that didn't matter, when before they were saying he needed to go to the G League, so that don't make sense. So he's just kind of all over the place. This is why, as a man, you need to have a philosophy on how you view things. And one of the most basic things you can add to your repertoire when it comes to how you view things as a man is always being open to changing your mind when you are presented with new data, facts, and statistics. You have to be open to changing your mind once you are presented those things. If you are a person that's going to dig in and you're a public figure, so everything is recorded, you're just going to keep having to come back and people just going to knock you and ride you for being wrong when you could have just jumped off the train a long time ago once you started to see more facts. So first, he's a show me person. That's why I showed you a clip with Dion. Now it's ironic that, this is my episode that this is the topic of the episode I'm going over. Dion just signed a 5-year extension. He's in the top 5 highest paid college coaches currently. So it's just kind of ironic that he just couldn't see the vision, and then look how it turned out for Coach Prime. So he's a show me person. Bronny has showed you what you thought he should show you 4 months ago, but now you're moving it and saying that he shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be on the bench with the Lukas, with the SGAs, with the Jokic's. I just don't understand where he's coming from with that. He picked 3 of the top 5 best players in the NBA and said that he shouldn't be on the same bench as them. Does he not realize that a team is 15 guys, 12 guys who had a potential to play, 12 guys who dress, 3 guys who don't? You at least got to address 8 players to play. and have him active, or you got a forfeit, which is a situation that Dallas Mavericks might run into, and that's why AD had to make it back to play. So these are situations where if you are going to speak on a wide range of topics, you got to start doing some research on what you're actually speaking on, so people don't have you in a position where they can just clock you for everything that you're saying is incorrect. I'm going to have content forever because I'm willing to do, the hours worth of research it takes to look up things before I speak on them. And if I haven't done the research on it, you're not going to catch me on here just speaking on things, because I know that the internet is forever, and I know that I'm putting these things out here, and it just wouldn't make sense for me to do that because I have the ability to research it first. So let's see what the other guys say before we get this thing wrapped up.
Because you're going to continue to move the goalposts.
I'm not moving the goalposts. The boy should not be on the NBA bench, Fred.
Freddie T called him out already. He moving the goalposts. He moved the goalposts from the first show that we watched to this show that he watched. That's very accurate.
You don't see the potential?
Potential energy that maybe it might.
In the NBA, second round picks, average career, 4.8 years, not even 5 seasons. Since 1989, when they went to the 2-round draft format, only 21 second round picks have made it to be an all-star. That's not all NBA, that's an all-star. To say he doesn't see the potential this soon is short-sighted. Everybody picked in the second round of the draft is all based on potential. Every player. They showed flashes, glimpses of what they could become. Every person drafted, usually in any sport, is off of potential, because it's potential until they actually do it in the NBA, in the NFL, in the WNBA, in the MLB. It's all potential. So I just don't understand his point here.
Might happen. That doesn't get you an NBA.
It's
If his name,
happening.
Fred, if his name was Bronny Gonzalez, would he be on their sideline?
But
Fred.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. So if you've been watching me, you know it's certain things that as soon as we get to that point, I call it out. I stop whatever we're watching. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. If his name was, we don't have to do that. You know why we don't have to do that? Because we know what it is. So when a person is in an argument, not argument, bad argument, but in an argument, two people going back and forth, a person is in a debate. When they introduce the shoulda, woulda, coulda, that's an automatic L for me. Because at that point, I know that we've identified a spot where you can't answer the next question or the previous question I asked you, and you got to change the subject. That's why he did that.
We're past that.
Can I please ask a question?
We're
If his
past
name was
that.
Bronny Gonzalez, would he
It
be on
doesn't
their
matter
sideline?
now.
There you go. Freddie T handled that right. He said it doesn't matter now. He's here. Why are we doing shoulda, woulda, coulda if he's here? That don't make sense.
It doesn't
It
matter.
does matter. He has a unearned job, and that's my
He has an unearned job, and that's his problem.
problem with it. And that's why, and I know.
So here's the thing. This is just my opinion. At some point, we have to get away from how he got there.
Exactly.
Because at some point, we had to get away from how Kyle Shanahan got there. Right? We had to get away from how Sean.
This is funny. I had one more clip that I'm not seeing. So while this is playing and while y'all are watching it, I'm going to find this other clip. It's going to be funny, y'all. Let me find this other clip. I'm going to play this and we're going to listen. But let me find this other clip for
got
y'all.
there. And we had to start looking at him and being like, well, I don't know if his uncle knew this uncle or if his daddy was the head coach or whatever it is. Those boys can do their job, right? Because however you get in the door, you'll have more leeway. You may have more of a leash, but at some point you got to go prove that you can accomplish what you were put there to accomplish. And in playing against Milwaukee, no matter what the score was, no matter what it was, like he had 17 points. He played in the first half, he had 8. He had 9 in the second half. He led the team in scoring. And then he went to the G League and he hit 39. And his averages in the G League are saying that maybe it doesn't make him the best G League player in the world. Maybe it doesn't make him the best 11th man off of the bench. But if you can go score 39 in the G League, if you can go average plus 20-something points, it says you are, at least in my opinion, this is my opinion, you are worthy of the 55th pick. Because that pick doesn't guarantee you a star. That pick doesn't guarantee you that you're going to have an all-star or an all-NBA player. But it says you will have a player who can possibly develop into an important role on your roster. And to me, that's what Bronny James is showing. And I'm going to say this, and it doesn't make me biased towards what Bronny James has at least proven in the last week or over the.
So it's funny because once RC just kind of brought it on home for him, you notice he couldn't rebut anything that RC said. So this is where Freddie T kind of had him boxed in. He did a shoulda, woulda, coulda. Now RC, he didn't disagree with anything he said. But one of the key points is he said that, and I like to give you the answer to the test. One of the key points is he said, I know he has a job that he didn't earn. Remember that. We might be done with this clip soon too.
Month or so in the G League. I listened to LeBron talk to Pat McAfee a couple of days ago, man, and
okay. I know where he's going. He's going to talk about him as a father right there. So this is another clip. So I got another clip for y'all. So this is why I was just saying you got to have a philosophy and you got to be willing to change your stance on things as you're presented with more data, stats, and statistics. And it's going to be funny because y'all heard him say that his issue was he knows that Bronny has a job that he didn't earn. Channing, if you had the power, would you put your children in a position and let them grow into the role? Why do you ask that? Let's listen to what Channing says here.
Situation, if you're Deion Sanders, why wouldn't you use the pool? You worked hard. This goes back 40 years to when Deion started playing ball as a child.
Hold on. If you're a Deion Sanders, why wouldn't you use the pool that you've earned to help your child? Kind of like LeBron did with Bronny? Nah, that's not what you mean, right?
To make himself prime time. He did all that to work that hard to get that respect you're talking about. Why not take advantage of it? If I have a chance to do that for Chan, if I have a chance to do that for Ava or Chaz, why wouldn't I do it?
Right.
What? No. No. So you're telling me that LeBron, in your eyes, second greatest basketball player of all time, worked his way to this point where he has the authority, the power, and the leverage and the influence to help his son get into the NBA and realize his dream to make it to the NBA and have his name called and be drafted. And you knocking LeBron for that and you saying his son don't deserve to be there because he has a job that he didn't earn. But then did you say if you had the power, you to do the same thing for your children? I know that's not what you said. I know that's not what he said, y'all. He didn't say that, did he? Is that what he said? Hold on, I'm tripping. Let's go back.
Did all that to work that hard to get that respect you're talking about. Why not take advantage of it? If I have a chance to do that for Chan, if I have a chance to do that for Ava or Chaz, why wouldn't I do it?
Right.
You worked for that. That's not given to him. That's
Is this not the same thing that you knocking LeBron for? The same thing that you would do for your kids if you was in that position? I got to be making this up. This is my last time, to be honest. I just want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly because this can't be what I'm hearing, y'all.
himself prime time. He did all that to work that hard to get that respect you're talking about. Why not take advantage of it? If I have a chance to do that for Chan, if I have a chance to do that for Ava or Chaz, why wouldn't I do it?
Right.
You worked for that. That's not given to him. That's not just thrown in his lap. Deion didn't inherit respect. He gained respect, and they respect him enough to listen. Because you don't think some other parents want to walk in and say, no, my baby needs to go higher in the draft. Okay, Miss Lydia, go sit your ass down somewhere.
So did LeBron earn it, or did he ever hand it to him? You know LeBron got a catchphrase, earn, not given, right? Did LeBron earn the ability to use his power, influence, and leverage to get his son drafted because that was his dream? The same thing that you telling us that you would do if you was in that position? And then you want to knock LeBron for doing that and say he only made it because of his name? So that also means that if you would do the same thing for your kids, they will only make it because of your name? I'm confused here. I'm not understanding. So it's okay when you do it, but not okay when they do it? Is that what you're telling me? It's not passing the test.
We're gonna figure out where your baby gonna go. Deion gained this respect, and now he can use it to help his kids, to push his kids' career forward, or
Coach Prime earned his respect to use this to push his kids forward. But LeBron didn't earn this respect to push his kids forward. And you saying that you have LeBron as the second greatest player of all time? But he didn't earn the respect to do that? Hold the line, y'all. I'm missing something. I got to be missing something. I got to be missing something. Maybe it's going to end up different. Let's see if it ends different.
I guess manipulate where they should be in the best situation they should be in. Why not?
Huh? Help me understand this, y'all. So he said, Coach Prime earned the right, earned the respect to manipulate and make sure his kids end up in the right spot. And you telling me LeBron James also didn't earn that right based on you calling him the second greatest player of all time? So the second greatest player of all time hasn't earned that right to manipulate and push his kids into the right spot? This is very confusing. This is very confusing. I'm not understanding this. For some reason, I'm not seeing the difference between what you were saying Coach Prime has earned the right to do and what you are knocking LeBron for doing. I'm missing it. Let's maybe you gonna tell us. Let's see.
You know, why not? It doesn't make any sense. That's why Deion's doing it. Deion played it very smart. If you're in Deion's,
Why not? And he's playing it very smart. So let's break this down. So LeBron, by your account, second greatest player of all time, has not earned the right to manipulate and influence the situation that Bronny James goes into. Why not? So this is what happens. This is what happens when you have a bias. So I used to work in human resources, and we would have to do courses on, I got to find the right word. Back to the story, we had to take courses on unconscious bias. So when I was in human resources, I would look at a bunch of different resumes, and I would have to make sure that a person's name, a person's gender, how their name was spelled would not make me knock them out from the position, especially if they had the experience and the work history and, they presented a solid resume. They just want to make sure that I didn't have that so I can push that person forward. What we are seeing here is there is a unconscious bias that Channing has towards LeBron using his earned influence to manipulate the situation to make sure he helps Bronny get into a comfortable landing spot. And the reason why we can say that is because in this clip, he is saying it's perfectly fine for Coach Prime, Deion Sanders to do that. And in the longer form of the other video, he's knocking LeBron for doing that and saying Bronny has a job that he did not earn. Those things, they're in conflict with each other. And that's how we were able to identify that unconscious bias. So that's what it is. There you have it. A great show, a great breakdown. Be aware of unconscious bias and how unconscious bias can affect you. And as you see here, a lot of times we see things outside of us and we don't recognize us actually doing the thing. But I guarantee you, if someone else went to Channing and said, hey, Channing, so It's okay for Deion to do it, and it's not okay for Channing to do it. And we're not going to say Shador. We're going to say Shiloh, because Shiloh wasn't invited to the NFL Combine. And if Coach Prime used some of his resources to help Shiloh get drafted or even be signed as an unsigned free agent, would you then say Shiloh didn't earn it? Or would you say it's okay because Coach Prime earned the right to use his influence to help his son pursue his dream of making it to the NFL? So that's what happens when you got to have a philosophy on how you view things and always be willing to update how you view a situation, especially when you come into new information.